Welcome back to DIY guitar making. I'm here in the shop. I have some wood laid out here. I took a little trip to Hearne, Hardwoods recently, and I got some wood for the two parlor guitars that I'm going to be building and for a orchestra model that I'm going to be building this winter. And I got some guitar parts, not much actually, but some of the parts that I need for the spring workshops that some of you guys are attending. Those start in April, by the way. And well, let me tell you about the trip to Hearne's actually first. So I planned on making a video for that for you guys, but it just so happened that when I got there, it was kind of cool actually. There were a whole bunch of Martin guitar reps from the North Korea division. They were there, and in the main Tonewood building, it's kind of a small-ish room, and so it was just an awkward thing, and I don't think they wanted or would have wanted me to film there, you know, with these reps doing their business in the background, you know, big companies and secrets and stuff like that. They probably don't want some weirdo like me shaking a camera around at them. Anyway, so I didn't do it. I wish I did, or I wish I could have, but I didn't. But it was cool just to see that going on. By the way, they were investing in I found out that they were investing in a lot of coco bolo. So there's your little insider tidbit for you. All right, so what I have here is not coco bolo. Why don't we start with the tops here? I got a whole bunch of tops. All right, so I got some Western Red Cedar. I'm going to be using these on the parlor guitars and probably on that OM. And some of it I will be using in the classes as well. Sometimes I use Sitka in the classes, sometimes I use Western Red Cedar. Honestly, and I've talked about this before, but I just always look for the best wood quality-wise that I can find, regardless of the species. Of course, that's within a narrow subset of species that is considered to be good for lutherie. So, you know, I'm not going to use ebony or balsa wood or something out in left field. But within, for me at least, Western Red Cedar, Sitka spruce, Engelmann spruce, within sort of that category, I'm just looking for something with a really good tap tone. In some cases, I'm looking for very straight grain, but you know what? I say in some cases because this stuff is fairly wavy, the grain. It moves around quite a bit, and that's not necessarily a bad thing as long as it's not extreme. And I just couldn't get over with these ones. I could not get over how good the tap tone was. It was absurd. The more I tap on Sitka spruce, the more, if I'm being honest, the more I just don't like it, actually. And I keep getting pulled towards Western Red Cedar. I can't tell if I like Western Red Cedar or Redwood more, but those two woods just seem to, in my limited experience, repeatedly blow my mind with the tap tone, okay? That's really the best way, by the way, to judge these things. You might think, well, how does the guitar sound in the end? And of course, that is the real measure of quality top wood. But there's so much going on in from one guitar to the next, even in a very controlled process, but certainly in a independent solo luthier setting, there's even less control of the variables than there would be, say, in a factory setting. So when I listen to the guitars at the end, I'm always very unsure of where to attribute the results, right? So I hear the results, I play the guitar, I love it, I hate it, whatever. The difficulty is always trying to figure out what to attribute to what, right? And you can never be sure for certain. So that's why the tap tone is so important, because that's the one thing where you can hold the wood up, you can give it a tap, and I'm sure you guys can't hear that tap at all, but when I tap this, there's a hum that just keeps ringing. I'm holding this up to my ear so I can hear it. And I honestly should have the air filter off right now, because that would be your best chance of hearing anything. But whatever, it's fine. This kind of stuff doesn't translate through camera. You really want to trust the taptone almost more than trusting what you hear at the end of your build. Also, simply because building guitars it's a slow, long process, and so really even in your entire lifetime, there's only so many guitars that you're going to build, so there's only so many different examples or data points in your head that you're going to be able to log on what those individual guitars sound like. So you can sort of speed up the process by getting used to the idea, as weird as it might seem, of tapping the wood. As much as that makes you look like a weirdo when you're out and around normies, we'll call them, normal people, just do it, man. Just do it. Just start tapping and logging those data points in the back of your mind. So anyway, the Western Red Cedar, again, I keep being pulled in the direction of it, and I might even like it more than Redwood, and I've said a lot of good things about Redwood. All right, jumping over here, I have a set of wenge right here, which is new to me. I've never used wenge. I'm not sure actually which is more correct to say, but I like saying wenge just because it sounds fun. So we have a nice set of wenge here. Wenge really has a stellar reputation tonally. Again, I haven't used it, but it has a really good reputation. Not to be too hyperbolic, but people have called it the new Brazilian Rosewood. At least not in price or popularity or anything like that, but makers have related it to that. And so I'm excited just on those grounds to dig into it. You know, I've liked the taptone on it. It certainly feels brittle and thus resonant. So far it's good in my book. Let me show you this actually, because this is interesting. So this piece right here looks nice and arrow straight, but this one has warped a little bit. And just a little lesson for you guys. I know a lot of people, you order wood online and you get it in your house, and either it shows up warped a little bit, or a day or two after it is welcomed into its new environment, it warps a little bit. I'm going to show you how to fix that in just a second, and also I just want to let you know that that's pretty common actually. It's not something that you have to be absolutely terrified of and fight it like crazy. Now, I do control the humidity in this shop right here. I like to keep it just a little bit dry, on the dry side. So 45 relative humidity. This is my hygrometer here. This is temperature up top. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is temperature down below, the small one. This is our humidity up top. And you can see we're at 35, so that's a little bit dry, and I actually like it that way in my shop. Now, if you go into a guitar store, they will usually keep something like this set to 45. 45 is like your room humidity, room temperature humidity. And so that's where you want your guitars to live. But I think, and other builders agree, some of them, that you want to build a little bit dry. Okay? The reason for that is that drying out causes a lot more problems with your finished product than a little bit of an overly humidified atmosphere does. Okay? Most issues with guitars happen from drying out and shrinking and cracking and everything like that. So knowing that, we can build a little bit on the dry side, and that way it's more likely to encounter higher humidity areas than it is to encounter super dry areas that are going to cause it to crack. Okay, let's go ahead and fix this now, just to show you. Super, super simple. Be even simpler if this was a sunny day, but it's not. It's very cloudy. Oh crap. I just shook up this water bottle and there's a hole in it, so it just sprayed water everywhere. Alright, well, we could still roll with this. This is a little more water than I wanted to put on here, but it'll make the point. So what I'm doing, this cupped side, the dished out side, the concave side, is your dry side. So you want to spritz just a little bit of water, probably less than I did right here. This is something you can experiment with until you get good at it and find the balance. You spray just a little bit of water, mist it onto here, and then flip it over and just put it in front of a window and let the sunlight hit the wet side. So again, concave is the dry side, convex is the wet side. So we want to warm and dry out the wet side, and we want to wet the dry side, and that will bring it back. Now if you put too much water on it or too much heat on the other side, it will simply go way in the opposite direction, right? You'll start with a cup in one direction, and then you'll end with an equivalent or maybe even greater cup in the opposite direction, which isn't good, right? So you can end up chasing that back and forth, and that's where you find that balance, right? It's just all about doing the right amount of water on the dry side and the right amount of time left in the sun or heat on the other side. I can even, because there's no sun today, I could take a heat gun and just, without heating it too much, because it's very easy to overdo the heat gun, hold it at a distance and just gently warm this side. But I put a lot of water on that other side, so I'm not even going to do that, just because I probably over humidified that other side. I'm just going to leave it alone and see what happens. I'll come back in, I don't know, 5 minutes. It really doesn't take very long. Now this other set that I have here for the other parlor guitar is just boring old East Indian rosewood. It's not really boring. I like to call it boring just because I use East Indian rosewood a whole lot, so honestly it gets a little boring to me. You know, when I say boring, I mean just visually and workability wise, just dealing with it. You get used to a thing and you call it boring. But anyway, you know, sometimes I like to kind of spruce things up by doing something different with wenge or something that's just visually stunning like Cerakote. So those are very interesting to me. I want to show you this set here though. It's very rough, very in the rough. You can see bandsaw marks all over it. But I wanted to show you this since we're on the topic of warped wood, because this one has been in here for a really long time here in my shop. And also the way that the grain is, you can see there's a knot down in this corner and the grain kind of runs out this way. Over here it's nice and straight. So there's a lot of different things going on, which has caused this to warp. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. So this has warped in different ways in different areas. Okay, so it's got a cup on this side and a cup over here in this corner, which makes this very difficult to work with. And in a lot of cases, if you were at a hardwood supplier and you were thinking about buying this wood, I would not buy this wood. This is almost like a throwaway piece of wood at this point with how much it's warped and in various different directions. This is going to be difficult to work with. I think I'm still going to use it, and simply because my parlor model here is very small. This is only a half, right? Here's the hole. So sometimes dealing with warping, you can take into account how much wood you actually need, right? So I need very little of these 2 plates anyway, so I can intelligently cut around the warping. And the warping is much worse on this inside area here, right, where the sort of cathedral figure comes out, again off of that knot. That knot is causing a lot of the problems. So if I flip this around and then do the book match on the other side, which is the more correct and more attractive side anyway, then I will have significantly less warping to fix or otherwise deal with that way. So I can just cut off this wonky side. All right, just wanted to share that aspect of dealing with warping. There are many ways to deal with it, although do consider sometimes just disregarding a piece if it's way too far gone. In fact, if I was using this for an orchestra model size or bigger, I would throw out this piece. Okay. What else do we have here? Oh, let me just show you on the point of wenge. I got this massive piece of wenge here just to cut up into the fretboard and the bridge for this guitar, and then I'm just going to have a lot of extra wenge because I think I'm going to like it. This was actually pretty inexpensive. This giant piece, very straight grained, was $40. So, and I can get a lot out of this if I do plan on using wenge for fretboards and bridges, which is another consideration of mine, something an avenue I'm thinking about going down. So that's that. To show you how this turned out. Okay, so that definitely got straighter. Still a little bit wonky on this side, but that's where the grain runs out anyway. And this side still has a cup, so I'm going to add just a tiny bit more water to this corner right here and put it back in the sun. So that little misting right there is really what we want. Alright, try that again, and then it should be good. And the last set of wood here that I want to showcase is this absolutely gorgeous set of Nicaraguan rosewood. You're like, right now you're thinking, that's not rosewood. We just looked at rosewood. That's rosewood. It's purple or brownish purple. This is like a sandstone brown, and that's just the thing about rosewood, and not just Nicaraguan but East Indian, a lot of different rosewoods. They really do come in a variety of different color tones. This is on the extreme light side of things, and this has a really cool sapwood center on this back. So this is going to be going to David in California. I'm building an OM for him, an orchestra model, and yeah, we're doing Nicaraguan rosewood. Now for all of these, actually I might save this until later, but at least for the parlor ones, I'm going to join the book match. And I haven't shown you guys the sides here, with the exception of this set right here, because I already have the parlor sides bent. They are in the bender right now. I'm going to pull them out in just a minute and really get to work on building these parlor guitars. Okay guys, that's all I got for you. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. If you learned something here, please give this video a like and subscribe so you can be notified when I release a new DIY guitar making video. And if you want to really learn more, take one of my structured online courses at ericschaferguitars.com. or register for a hands-on guitar building workshop here with me in Burnville, Pennsylvania.